Hi everyone! Not so long time ago I was challenged to create a vertical header style in Elementor that is fixed and stuck to the left hand side of the screen for all other devices or viewport sizes but mobiles. So for mobile devices the header should be back to horizontal position, which is logical due to the lack of horizontal space on small screen devices. You can see what I'm talking about on the screen right now, with an exception of having the header positioned to the right hand side. The menu being used here is so-called hybrid menu that includes a couple of text links and a couple of icons, one of which is a pop-up trigger. The pop-up itself is supposed to house the main menu and thus provide an all devices friendly navigation. I believe there's more than just one way to accomplish the challenge, but this is the route that I've taken and it worked just fine across all browsers and all popular devices. Please note that I've used Steroids for Elementor add-on, which is completely free. So if you want to download it, find the link in this video description. First off, let me briefly introduce you to the current setup or the layout. We have a one column top section with the logo, the image widget, and the intersection right next to it. The intersection widget is here to help me wrap up two of my text links and two icon widgets, and of course let me align everything properly. We are dealing with the full width content, so the green background has been added to the top column instead of a top section. Even though I could partially use Steroids for Elementor to go from horizontal to vertical position header, I decided to fully deploy the custom CSS instead. The reason for that is to keep things centralized inside Elementor's custom CSS panel rather than having them scattered all around the editor. Because of that kind of approach, I'll have to assign custom class name to some of the elements on stage, or widgets if you like, whose properties are supposed to be manipulated by the custom CSS. So in that name, the top column custom class name shall be OoohBoi Wrapper. The site logo will be OoohBoi Logo. The intersection widget should be OoohBoi Menu. And lastly, the contact icon is going to be OoohBoi Contact. You'll see why exactly I've chosen these elements once I start editing the CSS. If you wonder about my custom CSS code location, well, this time it's going to be tied to the topmost section. Why not making it global? Because our CSS code is active only when this particular header type is being used. As you probably know, you can create as many different header templates as you like and swap them across the website by using Elementor's display conditions. Like I said at the beginning, my vertical header will work for all other devices but mobile. So I'll start my custom CSS with the media query, which says that any device with a viewport size less than 768 pixels should ignore this CSS code. Now I'm going to leave this for a moment. I'm going to switch to mobile view and set up the header layout. Due to the fact that the breakpoint system in Elementor is based on inheritance, I have to set or define the value for every or almost every widget on stage. It means that unless I explicitly define a particular option per device or per breakpoint, the option value is being inherited from the first breakpoint defined above the current one. Okay, in our case is the desktop. However, hence any other breakpoint above the mobile is supposed to be governed by our custom CSS code. Mostly, we have to explicitly define everything at the lowest level. So I'll start with the intersection. Instead of the initial calculated value, it should be 100% white. Next, I'll have to make the logo a little bit smaller. Let's say 140 pixels. And I'm going to add a small margin to the bottom, like 11 pixels. Two of my text links will use the hierarchy extension of Steroids for Elementor. More precisely, I'll use that extension to change the writing mode to vertical when off the mobile viewport. So I have to be sure that both of them are back to normal on mobile devices. Likewise, I need to be sure to define the right hand side margin, let's say 28 pixels, and of course set the width to inline. I can simply copy paste styles from the first text link to another one. Both of them share the settings. Pretty much same situation with two of my icon widgets. So I'm going to set the left hand side margin to 28 pixels and set the width to inline. If you're confused with these numbers like 11, 17, 28, 45, 72, well, all of these are coming from the golden ratio and the base number of 1.618. And you can ask Google about the golden ratio if you like to learn more about it. And finally, I will set the top column padding for mobile devices. 17 should be just fine. Left top and bottom plus 11 pixels on each side. Okay, now that we have our mobile layout ready, let's switch back to the desktop view. Let's select the topmost section and get back to its custom CSS panel to pick up where we left off. Like I said before, my CSS code is strictly related to this type of header. That's why I'm going to prepend every one of my custom class names with the selector keyword. Alright? So my plan is to change position property of the top column to fixed. I'm going to make it 84 pixels wide. I'm going to let it sit on the right hand side of the screen at the top position of 0. And if you want to keep your header on the opposite side of the screen, you can simply use left 0 instead of right 0. As simple as that. And at the end, I'll make it 100 VH tall, 100 viewport height. As you can see, the topmost section now doesn't have any height due to the column being position fixed, and it's literally impossible to grab it, unless I go for the navigator panel, of course. Because I can't just leave it that way, it's a bad user experience, I'm going to apply a little trick. I'll add some padding to the section itself, let's say bottom padding. But in order to avoid that padding having an impact on content below, I'm going to cancel it by adding the same amount of negative margin. At this point, our vertical header looks like a big mess, as you can tell. Because of the fact we can just rotate the top column for 90 degrees and expect all elements or wedges to magically comply the new axis, we have to move on step by step. I'll start with the top column padding and content alignment. So no padding, and align everything to the center. After that, I'm going to set the intersection width to 100% instead of using the calculated value. That no longer works. And then change the horizontal alignment of intersection column to the center as well. Both of the text links should use a vertical writing mode, and both of them now have a different margin values. I'm going to set up everything for the first text link and then simply copy paste styles over to the second one. The only difference will be the bottom margin of the second link, because I want to create a bigger gap between the link itself and the bars icon below. When it comes to icons, I'll remove any existing margin and make them full width. The contact icon position should be changed soon within our custom CSS code, so at this point I'm leaving it as is. Let's handle the site logo now. If you think that I'm about to rotate it for 90 degrees clockwise, that's not gonna work. Forget about the CSS transforms, it's just a pain in the ass to handle it that way. What I'm going to do instead is to use a different file. So I'll duplicate the existing logo and pick a different style or different orientation logo from the media library. The logo should be 40 pixels wide, but it also must have a height defined. If you recall, the site logo width in horizontal mode was 200 pixels, and in the same time the intersection width was calculated. It was 100% minus 200 pixels. So now I'm just doing the same thing but alongside the y-axis, okay? Hence, there's no other proper, I'm stressing the word proper, way to set the height of image widget in Elementor. I'll do that in my custom CSS code. So I'll get back to the custom CSS panel of the topmost section, and I'm going to add another block, another set of rules. The custom class name of my site logo is OoohBoi logo, and the height is going to be 255 pixels. No extra margin or padding needed. I have it all covered by the height value. Now I have to get rid of the horizontal version of site logo. Of course, I should go for Elementor's built-in responsive visibility, and I'm going to hide it for desktop and tablets. But even if I make it hidden, it's still visible in editor, and it takes some space, which doesn't feel right in a visual sense. So in order to get rid of it completely, I'll set its width to 0. And if I ever need to edit my logo, considering the fact it's no longer graspable due to the 0 width, I'm going to use the navigator. What I have to do next is to make the intersection stretch all the way down and let it take all available vertical space. Since there's no way to do something like that in editor, I'll reach for my custom CSS panel once again. The intersection custom class name is OoohBoi menu, and its height will be equal to a simple math expression. Calculate 100% minus 255 pixels. Or otherwise, let it be as tall as the entire available vertical space minus 255 pixels, which is the height of the site logo. However, that's the height of the intersection wrapping element, while the column itself still remains unchanged, as you can see. That's why I have to set its height to 100% in a separate block of rules. In Elementor, you can target column's wrapping element. I have to correct myself. I'm not dealing with the column, but with the column's wrapping element. Okay? So in Elementor, you can target column's wrapping element by using the Elementor-container custom class name. So that's not the column itself, but rather a column's wrapping element. Why not the column itself? Well, simply because the wrapping element wouldn't let it stretch. Alright, now I just have to position the contact icon to the bottom of the column. Everything else remains as is. Its custom class name is OoohBoi Contact, and I believe an easiest way to push it downward is by using position absolute in combination with bottom 0. The contact icon has disappeared now for a simple reason. If you still didn't notice, the site footer covers our vertical header because it obviously has a greater Z index or a higher stacking order. That's why I have to select the top section and assign a greater Z index to it, something like 999. Okay, I guess it could be less, but let's just go for 999 in order to be atop of anything else on stage. And that's pretty much it. I just have to check all in responsive mode. Okay, desktop and tablet look great, I'm sure about that, and all I gotta do is to hide my vertical logo for mobile devices. The same old trick should work here too, so I'm going to set its width to 0 in order to keep everything clean and tidy. At this point, our vertical header is complete, but I have to pay your attention to the problem that you can't see yet. And you can see it simply because there's no content in between the header and footer. That's why I'm going to close my header template and open one of the pages instead. It doesn't matter which one, the one with the content. First of all, I'll switch to tablet mode, which immediately lightens up the problem I mentioned. Our vertical header overlaps the content. We get two options here. The first one is to keep in mind that every section you add to stage must have a right-hand side padding of 84 pixels, because that's our header's width. Something like that definitely affects the workflow in a negative sense, simply because you might already have set the section padding all over the website, alright, across multiple templates. And that's why I came up with a CSS solution, which eliminates any change of that kind site-wide, of course. So I'll get back to my custom CSS panel of the top section in my header template. I just have to define a new rule that changes any top section right margin globally. So how do I do something like that? By using Elementor's data element type attribute that's been assigned to every widget and element on stage, including columns and sections. And I'll filter only those sections that have a value of section assigned. Inner sections must be excluded. So I'll say not or except the intersection widgets that luckily has a distinction class name assigned to it, and which is Elementor intersection. And except any other element having a custom class name no margin. Why is that for? It's simply because if any top section on stage is ought to be excluded from that very global rule, you can simply add a custom class name no margin to it, just in case. Only God knows why, but it's there. I have added a new rule inside the media query on purpose because it only applies if my vertical header is active. Otherwise, you'll never know it existed. So that's it. This is what it takes to work around that kind of a header type. Now you got it. I hope you enjoyed this video lesson, and I hope something like that can be helpful at some point of your work. Don't forget to check the video description for some cool stuff too. And if you plan to buy Elementor Pro, please use my affiliate link, which can be found in the description as well, because this is how you can support this channel without spending any extra money. Other than that, peace and love, people.